I discovered these Sun was a 1970s company that was started by this guy named Conrad Sundholm, and it was just kind of like one of these electronic kind of freak guys that we all know and love. And he started making amps, and they were the first company to make a big, powerful bass amp, because when bands like The Who started coming over and the Jimi Hendrix Experience started blowing up, there wasn't a big amp made yet to really handle these huge venues they were playing, because the PA systems were very, very primitive. And so the Sun came out with the 2000S, which was the predecessor to pretty much anything we know. I mean, now the SVT made by Ampeg is now the industry standard for a big, powerful bass amp. Back in the early days, it was the Sun 2000S. So those are the heads I use. I use 70s style Model Ts. Fender bought the patent to that amp and reissued it, and it was absolutely nothing like the original. I like to play straight in with just the guitar straight into the head and get a good fat rhythm sound without a distortion box or a fuzz. I use fuzzes and I use distortion boxes though for lead, and I use fuzzes for other tonal, for oral accents. But my main rhythm sound comes from straight into the Model T. And so to do that, I change out a few things. I change out the preamp tubes in the Model Ts. I hot rod the power tubes, and I also change out the pickups and the guitars. My main guitars are Les Pauls. The SG that's actually an anomaly for me, but it's a fucking fine guitar, so I love it. But I use super distortion pickups made by DiMarzio. I put those in all my guitars. So those are in all my Les Pauls. So basically my sound comes from super distortion DiMarzio into Model Ts that are I usually change the power tubes out to, the best ones are Svetjanas. They're real expensive. They're like the European, they're really powerful, the best made Svetjana power tubes, 6550s. And then I just go with Electro Harmonics. You know, they're famous for making the Big Muff, and they've been around forever and ever. And man, his story is fantastic. And they make preamp tubes, and that is really, really the heart of the sound. You can find an old Model T somewhere used, and it'll have the stock tubes in it, like the old GE from the 70s, and it'll sound good, but it won't have the grind, it won't have the sustain. As soon as you pop out those little 12AX7s and put in new ones, Electro Harmonics makes them, they design them so that they break up more, so that they give you more sustain, more grind. It's sort of like a fuzz box in a tube. So basically, if I go with hot 6550s, replace the 312AX7s with EH, and straight in, and I'm there.